Well, guys, they say there's nothing original on TV anymore, but after this show, I'm very highly doubt that. Hey guys, come over the series premiere of Stranger Things, the new show on Netflix, Season 1, Episode 1, Chapter 1, The Vanishing of Will Byers. Sorry it took me so long to finally review this, guys. I know you guys want me to review this for a while, but finally I was able to finish this episode. And guys, I was so looking forward to this show for so many reasons. One, if you guys saw my, summer TV preview, they did not put out a trailer for this till last month, actually, which honestly is really good marketing. I'm really surprised that it took Netflix that long to put out a trailer, but it took them quite a while, and honestly, I'm happy that they did, because there wasn't anything spoiled, there weren't really any expectations going into this, but just knowing what this was going to be, I mean, it's very rare nowadays where you have a show that I think is as original as this sounds, because this is a show that you could look at it and you think, oh, it's going to be this way, or it's going to be this way, and just from the trailers, it really seemed like they were going in this more Spielberg-esque direction, and I'm very happy to say that Stranger Things, for once, actually completely lived up to my expectations. I think the show is everything I want it to be, and more. It very much feels like just an 80s TV show that's filmed now, and there are many reasons why, which is something that I really did love about this show, and there's something really cinematic about starting off with the first scene in this episode. I absolutely really did love the way it was done. I will say, the way that things played out in this episode is not at all the way I thought things were going to play out. I thought there was going to be a very long and dragged out, but I'll get into that. We actually don't start off, though, with the main plot. We start off with something completely different. We start off, we see 1983 in Hawkins, Indiana. We see the opening scene. We see the scientist, and he's running for his life through the halls of the city's energy building. He's deathly terrified of the presence that we do not see, and we hear all this growling, screeching, other ominous tones before this unknown creature or presence sucks up the scientist after he got into an elevator. Now, where'd he go? We don't know. Who's this creature? There's so much uncertainty in this first scene. It's just so well built up. That's something I think they did so well here. It's just built up the tension. They didn't give you everything in this scene. They didn't really tell you much of anything. But they also showed, I think, just enough. It's very much like a teaser trailer in many ways, where a good teaser trailer, they show a few things, but very much gets you hyped. I think that's exactly what this first scene did. We have no idea what's going on here. We don't know who this creature is. We don't know who this man is. We don't even know if this whole situation escalated, or how any of this plays out, or what happened to him, or if this man is dead, but there's just so much uncertainty, and it just hooks me in right away. I gotta say, this episode, just from that scene alone, I was hooked. I was so into it. I was so looking forward to see where this is going, and I'm happy to say that uncertainty sticks throughout this entire episode. Most of this episode, we have no idea what's going on, and we are as confused as the characters are. Stranger Things is the perfect title, because honestly, this isn't like anything I've seen in the way that this plays out. I think it's really cool the way they did that. I really did love that. Very much felt like a classic horror film in the way that was done, and I love that we didn't see the creature either. That's one of the reasons why people say classic horror films are so scary, because we don't see that creature till the final few minutes, and I think just from this first episode, we still have yet to see the creature. We still have yet to see anything that's going on. So that was a very well done scene. Really love the way that it was done, and really, I think, sets us up for the rest of the episode. So then we do get into the main narrative, where we get introduced to these four boys, Lucas, Michael, Dustin, and Will. They're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and they're having this really fun time and everything with what's going on. It was definitely a fun scene to watch, and there's definitely, I think, a little bit of, definitely some foreshadowing here. We can see, they're playing this fantasy game, and they want to play just a little bit longer. We can see, but his mom's telling him that it's time to go home, who I have to say, the boy that played Michael's mom in this episode, she really just sticks out. Something about her mannerism, just something about the way she acts. I mean, she's just his mom, but she really did a really good job. I know what it was about her. She just was really good here in playing a mom, and we see that something happens to him with Dungeons and Dragons. I can't really remember what it was. It was kind of cool, though, to see these kids playing a board game, because we're so used to being in this world of technology and constantly at our fingertips, and there are so many apps. I mean, Pokemon Go, for example, is very much like that. So it was kind of cool just to actually turn on a show from 2016 and see kids playing a board game and not on their phones and not playing a video game. It's just very bizarre, but it's such a cool choice, and just little things like that I think they did so well, and I really did love that. There's so much nostalgia thrown in here. I wasn't even alive in the 80s, guys. I wasn't alive. I was born in 1998. I wasn't alive when all this was going on, but it's just very refreshing to see this. I think it's really cool the way they did that, and they really do stick to the 80s. There's so much nostalgia thrown into here, but it's not shoved down your throats either. It's just kind of the world they live in. This is the decade, this is where we are, and this is how the show's going to be, and I really did love that. But basically, his mom insists that they leave. That sends Will and Dustin biking home. They decide to race, and basically they're racing and everything. It's a good scene. I think they definitely got us introduced to these characters very well. We pretty much see who everyone is. Michael very much is the leader. He's the one that is the most loyal, things like that. Dustin is very much the, I think, charismatic one of the group. Not charismatic, he's the charismatic one, and he's just, a lot of fun. Lucas kind of is a little bit shy. We can definitely see he stutters a lot. And then Will, I think, really is kind of the one that has all these superstitions and all these premonitions and things that's going on. But they decide to race, and as Will pulls away, he finds his way into the same area as the laboratory. He crashes his bike, and it's such a well-done scene because he hears something in the distance and he scrambles home, but someone's still chasing him. We don't know what it is. He holds up in the shed in the backyard. He loads a gun to fight off whatever's coming. Literally, this kid is ready to just shoot the creature or whatever's coming for him, but it's not enough. The lights flicker, a growl is heard, and Will disappears. And that sets it up perfectly. That is a perfect way to hook us in for the rest of the series. I absolutely love that. Again, there's so much uncertainty here, and I like that right away we got this, because I thought there was going to be this whole exposition with us getting to know the characters, getting to know the environment, and I like they didn't do that, because there have been shows that have done that before. I'm not saying they're bad. The Leftovers has done that before, and, that's like my favorite show on TV, but I like that the show just went for it. Right away, we just got into it. We don't know who any of these characters are, and the uncertainty just works really well. Love the way that was done, and I absolutely love that. Really good stuff there. Really great way to hook us in, and that really sets up, the way the rest of the show is going to play out. It's just from that first scene, because that is our plot, is Will's missing, what happens to him, and then the rest of the episode, we pretty much follow all these characters, trying to figure out what happened, and, yeah, so that's pretty much how things start off, and, yeah, so there's really a lot to talk about there, and let's just get into it. So we then get introduced to this character of Police Chief Hopper, and there's not much we know into this scene. We just see a little few glimpses of him taking a shower or just on his balcony smoking a cigarette, and these are cliches that I really thought was going to have a problem. Like, okay, another pill-popping cop, something we definitely have not seen before, but there's so much more going on with this character. He just seems so, just depressed, and he's not really depressed, though, I'd say. It's more of just really hurting. You can tell he's definitely hurting. You can tell he's very weakened by what's going on, but he's still a strong cop, and he wants to figure out what to do. I'll get into that a little more when we get into his character and how Dennis Hopper did, but basically we get introduced to that, and then we get introduced to the character of Joyce. Joyce, we see, can't find the next morning, who is our central main character. She can't find him the next morning, and she doesn't know where he is. She's trying to wake him up from school. He's not there. She asks, her son, Jonathan, if he came home last night, because she doesn't know, and just the fear of seeing, there's nothing worse, for a mother than to see that her child is gone, and just seeing the fear in Joyce's eyes, we get feared as well, because we don't know what's happening to him either, and I think they did a really good job with that. That tension that we have, that uncertainty, it's just really well built throughout this entire episode. She can't find him. She has no idea where he is, and she doesn't know what the hell's going on, because, again, he just seems to have seemingly disappeared into midair, and we don't know where he's gone. So she decides to go to the police station to file a missing persons report with Chief Hopper. Now, you can tell these two definitely do know each other. Some sort of relation they had. I don't know if they had a relationship or if there was some sort of case he dealt with before, but either case, these two know each other definitely. They are definitely familiar with each other. The thing is, though, they don't really get much of anywhere, because Chief Hopper as well doesn't really know what's going on. He talks about how this is Hawkins, a quiet, sleepy town, and he also talks about 99 times a parent, a kid is with a parent or a relative. Now, let me just say, that is one of the things that really hooked me in when I heard in the trailers, that line of him saying 99 times a kid is with a parent, when a child goes missing, a kid is with a parent or a relative. And, Joyce is freaking out because he said 99 but didn't talk about the one time. And I'm pretty sure that Hopper's seen some of these before. Maybe he's been a victim of this kind of thing before. I don't really know. But she insists that Will wouldn't just run away because he talks about Joyce's ex-husband, Lonnie. And she insists that Will would not do that. That Will didn't have a good relationship with him or something like that. But again, that's just something that they think they set up very well. And Hopper, you can see, is just as in the dark. He doesn't know what's going on. He's trying to really figure it out. But something tells me that he has more of a connection to this than we think. Especially something he says a little bit later in the episode. Something tells me he's gone through this before. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But I just thought that was a very good setup. I really did like the way that was done. And, we do see a couple more scenes with the boys of them getting bullied or whatever and having to stand up to them and things like that. But again, it's stuff the kids go through, and something about 80s bullies are just a lot more harsher than the bullies you see now. Again, it's because there wasn't as much social networking, so everything was physical, and everything they said to their faces just felt a lot more impactful because it's not something they just wrote on a phone. I think that's something they did really well here, is just show how different things were in the 80s compared to now, which isn't too hard to do because there were a lot of different things, but there were a lot of things that are the same about the 80s than they are now, but things were definitely a lot different. There wasn't as much technology. That definitely we were just starting to get like computer graphics and things like that, and we didn't have all the stuff that we did now, and I think that's something they did very well here. Just in this little scene with the bullies, I think they showed that very well. We also get introduced to this character, Nancy, who is Mike's sister, and I like her character overall. I definitely do like her. She could have come off as very cliche or whatever, but basically we find out that she has this boyfriend, Steven, who clearly just wants to get into her pants. That's clearly what he wants to do. He just wants to hook up with her, and she's very focused on her studies. She actually wants to do well, and it's kind of cool to see a headstrong teenage girl that's not just someone that wants to sleep around. I like that we actually got a characterization of someone that actually wants to work well, not someone that just wants to sleep around and have sex, because it's interesting to watch. I definitely really like character that she did very good. I definitely like what we saw of her there. Again, just a nice brief glimpse there, her saying that she's very career driven, very focused on school and everything. He just wants to have sex with her. He said he'd come over later that night to study, but that he definitely something up his sleeve, and I think they showed that very well. So then we transition to the energy building where Dr. Martin Brenner was investigating the events that led to the scientist running for his life in the opening scene. And he's trying to figure out really what's going on because this guy just seems to have appeared out of nowhere, and we don't know, disappeared out of thin air, and they don't know where the hell he went to. So they're really trying to figure out what's going on there. And they talk about this little girl that couldn't have gone too far away. And right away we meet that little girl. We see the girl couldn't have gone too far away. This young girl shows up at a little diner in a hospital gown, and this girl, I'm not going to say she's creepy because she's not. She doesn't give off a creepy vibe. She just gives off more of an ominous, that uncertainty vibe. And there's nothing scarier, I think, than uncertainty. Just not knowing what's going on with her. Because she looks completely disheveled, abused, tortured, can hardly speak. She's starving. There's clearly a lot of shit that she's gone through. And we don't even know she's a girl at first. They think she's a guy. And she eats as much food as the diner owner. We meet the diner owner, Benny, will give her. She got caught stealing his food, but he's trying to help her and find out what happened to her. And he suspects that her parents hurt her until he sees a 011 linked on her wrist, and he tries to find out what that means, but all she says is 11 and no. Those are the only words this girl seems to know. So it's interesting, and she gives us a very E.T. vibe, definitely. Against that, and again, we get into the acting, but when Benny leaves the room, 11 is eating when we see her turn off a noisy fan from across the room with her mind. Suddenly, the fan turns off, and 11 did it with her mind. She has some sort of superpowers from the energy building, and we don't know what it is. We don't know how she got these, but it's such a cool scene. Just the way that fan is going, we just see her turn it off suddenly, just coming, and when we get to, what I love is that we don't realize that she's the one that turned off, but then when we get that realization that she can do this, 11 clearly is a lot more advanced. She's definitely not human. There's definitely something that's happened with her, and we don't really know what's going on there, and I just found her character to be very interesting. Definitely one of the best parts of this entire episode was finding out more about her character and finding out more what's going on with her. I definitely found her to be very interesting, what's happening. I think we got some good flashbacks with Joyce, because we do get this one flashback where she's with Will, she's going to give him tickets to see Poltergeist, and we see they definitely had a very nice bond, and it really is hurting her, because she's remembering how, this was her son, and how much he loved her, and how he wouldn't just run away. She knows that there's definitely more going on. I think that just really scares her, not knowing why, and again, the fear of uncertainty. That's really the best thing about this episode, is all the uncertainty, not knowing what's going on. Her not knowing why her son would just run away from her is so interesting. Really did love that, and again, just works really well, and Winona Ryder does such a good job with that throughout this entire episode. So Hopper then finds Will's bike in the woods. He goes to the Byers home where he investigates the shed where Will vanished. And there's some really weird, like, squelching sounds and something eerie's happening. And it just seems to have just been there. Like, he's gone, but the bike is just still there. And Joyce doesn't know how this is happening, but we don't know what that is. And I'm assuming what we're hearing is the creature, something that's going on there. So that was definitely very interesting, hearing this ominous noise, and we don't know what that's about. Again, that's really interesting overall. But we also learned this scene, which I thought was very interesting. You know, we see the scene where he's investigating Will and trying to figure out what's going on there. We find out that Hopper had a daughter who died a few years earlier. And I'm willing to bet that she's actually not dead. In fact, I think she possibly could be 11. Just think about it, what she's been through, everything that's happened, and also the fact that he does not want to talk about what happens that one time. He says 99 times. He never said the other stuff to Joyce. So I feel like he knows more than we think. I feel like there's definitely something more going on. I feel like he's keenly aware of what's going on, and he's seen something similar to this before. I feel like that's really what's going on there. I think that's overall is just really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with that. But we do cut to there were some good scenes with Hopper. He's trying to interrogate everyone. He's not really getting much information out of the boys and everything. But basically, we see Nancy is with Steven, and they're kissing and everything, and what's going on. You know, she's trying to focus on her schoolwork, and he's trying to have sex with her, and she ends up pushing him off, saying that she doesn't want to do this, and saying that's too much. And even though she keeps saying that my parents are home, he just won't get off of her. And something tells me that something really bad is going to happen with Nancy. I mean, we would not be focusing on this if it's not important. I feel like there's definitely something more that's going to happen here. I don't know if he's going to rape her necessarily, but Steven is definitely someone that she needs to break up with, because he's resilient. He won't stay away from her. He won't stop trying to pursue her, and you just need to realize that she does want to smash, definitely, but she doesn't want to right now, and I think he needs to realize that he's not going to get what he wants that easily. He's going to have to work for it, and I think that's something I like, is that she's not just going to give in him easily. She's going to have to make him work for it, and right now she does want to focus on school, and I like that we do see a character that's not focused on sex. She actually does want to focus on school, and it's so rare to see that kind of character now, that I think they did that very well here. You know, it's, again, this is stuff we've seen before, but I think it's definitely just it seems somewhat original in this, and I think they did a really good job with that. So we go back to the diner where 11 is eating ice cream and smiling. Benny then lets in a social service worker to meet her, or so he thought, basically, you know, to take her in and everything. But she literally shoots him dead, and Dr. Brennan's crew storm the diner trying to capture 11. Very ET-esque again. She ends up killing 2 men as she flees, and such a well-done scene. We don't know how she was able to do this or how she was learned to kill, but it's just so interesting the way she just killed that social worker running off. But you're not terrified of her. You're kind of scared for her, because you know that there's definitely something going on there. You know there's a reason why she's here, and you know there's definitely a purpose. She once had an owner, and that's something I think they showed very well here, is that 11 came from someone. She's not just this random alien that was sent down. She came from somewhere. She's there to find something, and we don't know what that is, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what 11's sole purpose is, because right now, again, we just don't know, and I'm looking forward to seeing really what role she ends up playing to the rest of the season. So Joyce and Jonathan are then putting up signs asking if anyone has seen Will when they get a phone call, and it's really weird. It's all static, and it's breathing, and Joyce is convinced that Will was the one on the other line from somewhere, you know, that there's something going on. She hears, like, this creature. She's wondering, what the hell did you do to my son? But this jolt of static electricity then shocks her. The phone disconnects, and it's such a well-done scene. Her not getting what she wants, her not getting to listen to Will and everything, because she thinks that Will was the one on the other line. So this is something I like, because it's not like The Leftovers. We see that, you know, Will is clearly definitely alive, and there's definitely something more going on there. But the phone disconnects before anything else can happen, and again, very strange how that's all going on. Why'd the phone disconnect? What's happening there? It's very interesting. So Will's friends then take it upon themselves to go look for him personally, because they don't think that Hopper's gonna be successful. So they go looking for the missing friend. They see, and while they're looking for him, they see 11 staying in the middle of the woods. Rain's pouring down over. They have no idea what's going on, but that is the way the episode ends. Again, so much great uncertainty. Absolutely loved it. But let's just get more into this premiere, because there are so many things I loved. I know I've been saying it throughout this entire review, but the best thing about this premiere is that uncertainty, you know, what's going on here, because we honestly have no idea what's going on. And I like there's definitely a much more different situation than we think. There are so many different elements thrown in here. But let's talk about the cast first, because I really think everyone did an awesome job here. Winona Ryder, I think, is essentially our main character. I mean, there are a lot of characters in here, but Winona Ryder, I think, would be our lead, and she just does a fantastic job. In this first episode, she gives us so much great just pathos in her uncertainty and not knowing knowing what's going on and her trying to figure out what's happening to her son. And just also, I think the one thing I definitely got was her desperation. The fact that she had such a great relation with her son, the fact she has no idea why he just go away, and the fact that he's just seemingly disappeared. And Winona Ryder, it's great to see her back. I don't think she's done a movie or anything in quite a while, and it's awesome to see her back on TV. She still is a great actress. I've seen her in only 2 movies, that being Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands, but she really has done a great job in both those movies. I really love what she did here. I think she really is fantastic in the show, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of what's going on there, because I feel like we're definitely getting more into her life, what her relation with Will was like, and I'm hoping we get some flashbacks as well at Will, post-disappearance. I'm looking forward to seeing if we do. I hope we do. Yeah, I mean, you know, she hasn't done she was an experimenter. She was in that last year. I'm talking about a TV show, though. She hasn't done one since Stranger Things, and I think it's just really cool to see her back on TV. I think she's awesome here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what she ends up doing as the series progresses. Now, the one character I was a bit worried about was David Harbour, mainly because of the fact that I've seen this character so many times. But here's the thing, I think they did such a great job with taking what could be a very archetype, cookie-cutter type character and making him a lot more sympathetic and making us really understand why he's gone this way. I mean, clearly, there was a daughter he had that disappeared, and I really feel, like I said, there's a lot of things he's not telling us. I really think he's seen something like this before. He definitely is trying to look for Will. He definitely does try to look for her. What's the relation we have with Joyce? I think that's really going to play into this, and I think there's just a lot more going on with him than we think, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he is. But he just did a really good job, and again, like I said, a character we've seen before, but something about the way David Harbour just plays this character, it feels original, it feels new, and I think he just does an awesome job with this role, and I can't wait to see what he does later on in the show. And I'm also looking forward to seeing if he does get to find Will, because I think that's overall going to be very interesting. If he does end up finding, you know, I don't think his daughter's actually dead, and I'm wondering how that's going to connect to everything else that's going on this season. And then the kids as well. I think the kids, surprisingly, were all very well casted, especially Finn Wolfhard as Mike. I mean, you really see that he's a really smart kid, and he's very happy, and he actually seems like he's probably one of the most determined ones. You know, he's not someone who's just going to sit around. You know, this is a situation where you think these kids would be crying, and they'd be really, you know, just very spooked by what's going on, but they're not. They're determined. They actually, it seems like, you know, this is an adventure for them. This is something that they can do, and I love seeing these 3 kids, you know, Finn Wolfhard, Caleb McLaughlin as Lucas, and then Noah Schnapp as well. We saw him, was really good. And then Gaten Montezaro as Dustin. I thought they all did a very good job. Really loved their characters, and I think, like I said, they all stood out very, very well. Really like what we got with them. And just little scenes of like the bullying, what's going on there, just overall very interesting. Really loved that. Millie Bobby Brown was just awesome here because she has a very difficult role. She has to play a role in which she doesn't get to say a lot, and she has to just be on the screen. Again, she gives us a very E.T. vibe, and I got that from the trailer, but she really gave off one here. I mean, definitely, I got a lot of E.T. presence from her. The fact that she has all these powers, and the fact that she can kill man, the fact that she does know some words, is just very interesting, and we don't know the story, we don't know what's going on with her, but I'm kind of thinking that she could very well be, I don't know if this is true, but I think she could very well be Hopper's daughter. I mean, just the way that he talks about her, I don't know if his daughter actually died. I think she could be alive, and I know it's a bit of a stretch, but it just seems that way. And again, guys, don't spoil what's going on, but I think she very well could be. Let's see what's going on with that, and I'm looking forward to seeing really what's going to happen with her character, because she definitely, I think out of all the characters, I mean, Winona Ryder definitely was the best here, but I think she definitely, out of all of them, did the most impressive job, because again, it's very hard to do what she did, and especially because she had big shoes to fill, you know, like E.T. or like characters like that. You knew we'd be comparing her to those characters, but she just stands out. She doesn't feel like some archetype character, and again, she definitely stands out. She does a great job, and I really love what we got with her in this episode, and definitely looking forward to seeing more what's going on with her, and, you know, how she's all thrown into this, what her mission is, what her motive is. That's stuff I'm really looking forward to seeing, and all of that I hope really plays into the main arc as this goes on. And then everyone else was really good. I really like Natalia Dyer as Nancy. Again, she really just by how fierce and just school-driven she is. You know, she's not just going to let some man have sex with her. I thought that was well done. Charlie Heem was good as Jonathan. He's kind of like the typical brother. I think everyone here was very well cast, though. Everyone did a very good job. I definitely really like what we got with them, and I think everyone overall was just really great. The directing here by the Duffer Brothers, though, is what I really do want to commend, because I really think they deserve a lot of praise for what they did here. The directing here, there's so many different vibes here. You know, you got some sort of like Goonies vibe. You got an E.T. vibe, sort of. You got pretty much, it feels very Spielberg. In fact, I'm surprised that Spielberg is not connected to this. I'd have to think that they probably got inspiration from him, but he's not at all connected to this, and I'm surprised he isn't, because it just feels like a Spielberg-type show, and it's not. The Duffer Brothers created this show all on their own, and they did a fantastic job directing this. The tone is so well executed, the uncertainty was so good, and the story here is just so interesting. There's so much here I don't understand. There's so much here I still want to know. The music here as well, there's a very, like, synth score here, and it's really well done. Sounds like something out of, like, a Jonathan Carpenter movie. I've heard a lot of people say that, and I would definitely agree with that. I'm even going as far as to say it definitely, like I said, it feels like I'm watching an 80s TV show now. It feels like I could just go back. This is a show from the 80s. I'd go back and binge or something. That's what this feels like, and it's not that. It's so much more interesting. I really love that. And just the way they make this seem like an 80s show. It doesn't seem like this is a nostalgic 80s show. What it seems more of is a show that's from the 80s that's happening right now. It doesn't feel like a show that just takes place in the 80s. I think they did a very good job with that. The nostalgia here is so good, and just getting that 80s vibe, seeing how different the 80s were. The 80s was one of the greatest decades ever, and I think they very well show that here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what more they do with that. Definitely, I thought that was very well done. And then the visuals here, oh my god, the visuals. This show is just so well done. I think it's some of Netflix's best visuals ever. I mean, it's just so well handled. Very much reminds me, it's like Sense8, but it's kind of not like Sense8, and I very much like that. Sense8 takes place in the modern day. This takes place in the 80s, and they use very limited effects, just because the 80s didn't have many effects either, but there's so many good effects here. Very much feels like E.T. Very much love that, and a lot of the effects I think are very practical, and overall I think that was just very well handled. Overall, guys, I'm hooked. I'm hooked on this show. I absolutely love this premiere. I loved where we started. I think it was just a really great start to everything that's going on. I love the story that we're following here. Like I said, there's so much uncertainty going on. I know I keep saying that, but that is the thing that just anchored this first episode, is that uncertainty, is what's going on. What happened to Will? Where is he? How did Joyce hear him on the other end? You know, where's Eleven come from? What happened? Is Hopper's daughter really 11, possibly? What's going on there? What's her history? You know, what's going on with Jonathan and with Joyce and Hop? What was their relationship? How do those two know each other? You know, how does Hop turn out this way? All these kind of things that I don't know, and I'm just so intrigued by this narrative. You know, what are the kids going to do with 11? What's their reaction going to be? There's so much uncertainty that I absolutely love. There's so much in here that's just so interesting, and I can't wait to see the rest of this plays out. Overall, guys, I'm so looking forward to the rest of this show. I can't wait for the next 7 episodes, but let me know what you guys thought of this first episode. Love to hear your thoughts on it. Like I said, there's just so much to get into. I know there was a lot of repetitive stuff I said here, but it just really amazed me by how much uncertainty they put into here, and also how original it feels. Like I said, the show really does have big shoes to fill. I thought this could have been like a Leftovers, and it wasn't at all. It really seems like its own thing. There's really not much on TV like this, and I really do love that. It's great to have a show like this on TV right now. Can't wait to see how the next 7 episodes play out. I've heard this is an amazing show, and I will see you guys in my next show, which will be for Unreal, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.